And the rain just keeps on coming. You're seeing some purple here showing up on the map. I'll show you what that means and what it'll be like as you head out the door.
Paying more at the pump. The reason you're seeing gas prices rise this week, as an important economic report will be released this morning.
And cutting back on coverage, the bill being voted on today that'll affect the health insurance policies of thousands of North Carolinians. Kind of like all this weather out there that's affecting everyone. I want to thank you for joining us right now. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Yes, we are seeing that widespread rain out there. It is a WRAL weather alert day. Several school systems are closed, delayed, or are going remote today because of slick roads. Here's a map of those schools. We also have the full list on WRAL.com.
Heading over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner right now. Take a look at that radar. It looks nasty out there again, like yesterday.
It's just gross out there right now. That's the best way to say it. We don't have as much rain in our southeastern counties, but around the triangle and up the I-85 corridor, it is wet out there. Let's zoom in on the purple shaded area. So this is going to be along the I-85 corridor, but all the way over toward Roanoke Rapids and into South Hill, Virginia. This is where we may see some mixed wintry precipitation. It is most likely freezing rain, but the amounts of freezing rain will be very light. This is not going to be a huge travel issue, but just watch out. There could be a slick bridge here or there. And of course, we do still have a winter weather advisory in effect from South Hill all the way down through Chapel Hill. That expires at 7 o'clock this morning. It is 32 in Roxborough. So again, especially up there, watch out for some slick bridges. We may or may not see any. It won't be widespread, but there could be one or two. Elsewhere, we're looking at temperatures just above freezing, and it's 37 in Fayetteville and in Clinton. We take a look at Futurecast and roll through. During the morning hours, we're going to have the potential for just a little bit of freezing rain from, say, Durham, Lewisburg, Warrenton, northward. The rain is with us all the way through the morning commute. By lunchtime, it starts to break up a little bit, but it's not over. We'll still have some waves that move in after lunchtime. Here's a look at Roxborough. We're watching for the trees to see if we see any glaze forming there. So far, we haven't, but it is messy. In the triangle, it is 36 degrees with a northeast wind at around 7 miles per hour, and it stays chilly again all day. We'll just creep up into the low 40s. We've seen a good bit of rain so far. I'll show you what our flooding threat is coming up, Ken.
4:32, Elizabeth. Good morning, everybody. I'm getting an earlier start with you than usual because of those wet road conditions out there, just to make sure you know exactly what to expect. And that's why we have the WRAL Storm Tracker out on the roads this morning. Kelsey Coffey, along with photographer Mark Alexic. You're in Wake County, so set the scene what you're seeing right now.
Ken, it's just a messy morning commute this morning. Just as you were talking to me there, my photographer, he had to make sure that he gripped the wheel just because it's really slick out here. So we'll give you a live look now at road conditions here on 440. It looks like we are now passing by the Wade Avenue exit. Again, just a wet morning commute. If you can work from home today, that's probably the best thing for you to do so you don't have to head out. We heard from one of the people who works at the station. She says that she was driving on I-95 North at exit 7 near Benson. So she says that there was a lot of ponding there already. You definitely want to be careful. Give yourself some extra time ahead of your morning commute. But Ken, what else can you tell folks ahead of their morning drive?
Yeah, that's a really good reminder for those folks getting up on I-95 this morning. That's around the Benson area, about 5 miles before you get onto I-40. So that's a busy area usually. So keep that in mind as you get ready to head out. We're also getting reports of a crash on I-540 in the westbound lane near Globe Road. I'll check on that to see if it's going to affect your morning commute in the next few minutes. But you're getting ready to head out. Tune us in on the radio when you get to the car, 101.5 HD3.
Here in the WRAL Live Center, Ken, I'm tracking the snow in other places, including Virginia right now. This is Fairfax, Virginia. In fact, you'll see there's a little water that's on the lens here, but you'll notice that the streets, clearly there's some wet spots there, and there's snow near this park that appears to be nearby this camera at this intersection. I haven't quite seen snow actually coming down right now. This mostly snow covering certain parts, and then not that long ago, I saw snow plows coming through. It looks like they've already moved their way out there. So clearly there are places in Virginia right now trying to make sure that those roads are treated. I'll keep looking for some other cameras to show something here on the WRAL Live Center.
And Chris, we're also seeing snow in West Virginia. The same system is bringing major winter weather to parts of that state. Snow and ice were the cause of several crashes on highways near Charleston yesterday. That whole area remains under under a winter storm warning this morning. Make sure you have the WRAL News app with notifications turned on. We'll alert you to changing weather conditions and traffic issues across the area.
This morning, we'll get a better idea of how long you can expect to pay higher prices at places like the grocery store and gas station. The Consumer Price Index report will be released at 8:30 this morning. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from Village District in Raleigh. And Laura, we are seeing an uptick in gasoline prices here in North Carolina this week.
We are almost 6 cents within the past week. Good morning, Jeff. And we know this latest inflation report will give us an idea of how exactly inflation has eased, or whether or not has eased, especially at places such as the grocery store here behind me or the gas pump. Those prices really give us an idea of how the overall economy is doing. Now, here's what economists are predicting for now. They're looking at inflation rates of 2.9%. That's matching the annual gain seen in December. And consumer prices are expected to have risen 0.3% over the prior month. So this means that inflation remains sticky and it isn't going away. Complicating the picture are the uncertain impacts of new policies under the Trump administration, like tariffs, which could exacerbate inflationary pressures in the months ahead. In Raleigh, we have seen that uptick in gas prices this week. A gas buddy tells me we will continue to have to monitor if inflation and the economy will cause the prices to rise. But for now, seasonal trends are beginning to take shape.
We are starting to see winter gasoline being purged out of the system to make way for summer gasoline. That is a type of fuel that is required, that's generally more expensive. At the same time, refineries have started maintenance work on their refineries that limits their ability to produce as much of this type of summer gasoline, and that is usually what's behind prices.
So the good news for us, he says, North Carolina oil won't be impacted directly by possible tariff changes. Of course, it's something that we will continue to keep an eye on. But today's report comes as investors debate if and when the Federal Reserve will make any interest rate changes and cuts for this new year. We will break down, of course, what all of this means for you and your wallet once that report is released at 8:30 this morning. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Today, the state Senate will vote on whether additional illnesses should be allowed on the list of services health insurance companies should be required to cover. The Republican-backed bill looks to cap the types of medical coverage insurance must pay for. If any new procedures are mandated in the future, something that is currently on the list would need to be removed. About half of insurance policies in North Carolina would be affected if this bill becomes law. Lawmakers who support the bill say it is needed because of rising health care costs. Opponents worry it will keep people from getting the procedures they need.
President Donald Trump and Elon Musk are defending their aggressive push to downsize the federal government. They talked to reporters together in the Oval Office yesterday. Musk defended his role as an unelected official with broad authority to reshape the government. Trump and Musk were asked about what Democrats call a hostile takeover from Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE we hear about. Trump says he may have to look at judges who are trying to rein in their efforts.
Now a judge who's an activist judge wants to try and stop us from doing this. Why? Why would they want to do that? I campaigned on this. I campaigned on the fact that I said government is corrupt, and it is.
The Trump administration is facing increasing legal challenges over their cost-cutting moves. Democrats argue a constitutional showdown may be brewing.
The wife of a Raleigh police officer who was shot to death in the Hedingham community will get workers' compensation benefits. Officer Gabriel Torres died in the 2022 mass shooting. A judge ruled yesterday his widow and daughter will get $321 a week for 500 weeks. That totals roughly $160,000. This decision comes after a legal loophole that denied compensation to officers who are off duty. But Jasmine Torres says she was on the phone with her husband minutes before he died. He said he heard gunshots and was on his way to check them out. And that established that he was working at the time of his death.
Officers performing their job while going to work or any time, even if they're not actually in uniform or on the clock, that if they're performing their job as a law enforcement officer, they should be entitled for workers' compensation. It's absolutely ridiculous that this was denied and had to wait 2 years.
A bill named after Officer Torres is now making its way through the General Assembly. It would expand death benefits for public safety workers killed while on their way to or from duty or training.
A new campaign launches today to help people struggling with addiction in North Carolina. It's called the NC Treatment Connection. The Addiction Professionals of North Carolina is the group launching this statewide push. It is designed to give people proper evidence-based care from trustworthy providers. It'll also raise awareness about options for substance abuse disorder treatment. The APNC is holding a launch event 9:30 this morning at the Legislative Building. The plane crash caught on camera, a single-engine plane crashing just feet away from a home.
It started dipping, and I said to myself, oh no.
We'll hear from the pilot who walked away from that without a scratch.
Content warning changes. The differences you'll notice when you stream some older movies on Disney Plus as Disney moves away from DEI.
And we'll give you this live look right now. Take you to Chapel Hill, right there, top of the hill restaurant, the Franklin Street intersection there. Cold, soggy pattern continues for another day. Huge and brief change arrives tomorrow. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will tell us which parts of the area could reach the 70s again.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:44 and a very messy morning. We're mostly seeing green across the region, but notice up here close to the Virginia line, it's purple. There's the potential for a little bit of light freezing rain there. That creates the glaze on surfaces. So again, from South Hill to Henderson to Roxborough down toward Chapel Hill, temperatures are hovering right around freezing. So watch out for some slick bridges. Most of the roads are just going to be wet. Our rain chances today are high. I mean, really all the way through the afternoon. It does drop down to 60 to 70, but it is a wet day out there, and it's just going to continue. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about how much we've seen and how much more is headed our way. In Wilson, it's 34 and wet, 36 in Durham, 37 in Fayetteville. Our temperatures this afternoon will only climb up to around 40 degrees.
A pilot walked away unhurt after a small plane crashed in New Hampshire. It was caught on camera. Right into the tree line there. The pilot says he was practicing takeoffs and landings, and during one run he had control issues with the plane and crashed right there into the trees.
And I walked out without a scratch, and I'm fine, and that's all I'll say. I'm just glad it could have been worse.
I'll say. The FAA is now investigating that crash.
The Inspector General at the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, has been fired. The agency's Inspector General, Paul Martin, was notified yesterday by email. It comes a day after Martin's office released a report detailing the negative impact of the Trump administration's dramatic downsizing of the agency. That report warned of dangers of staffing gaps and uncertainty surrounding the waivers for life-saving assistance issued by Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Martin had been USAID's Inspector General since 2023.
Raleigh police arrested a man after they say he attempted to rob a bank. It happened at the Bank of America on Capitol Boulevard near Spring Forest Road on Monday. Witnesses say the man walked into the bank and asked the bank teller for money several times. No money was taken. Sar Bondo was taken into custody and charged with attempted common law robbery.
Disney is changing how it approaches DEI. That will result in some visible changes on the Disney Plus app. The company is changing the wording on content warnings for older movies. The current warning indicates that films include, quote, negative depictions and or mistreatment of peoples or cultures. The new warning will indicate the content is presented as originally created and may contain stereotypes or negative depictions.
4:47 the time right now on our Wednesday, and yesterday got us right in line, in mode for today. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We should be warmed up for this, right?
Yeah, we're ready. We've already done this. We're going to do it again. Tomorrow's still going to be wet, but temperatures are going to really jump. So not exactly like today, but, you know, today's just like yesterday. Groundhog Day feeling, right? So lots of rain out there, especially from, say, Fayetteville, Goldsboro, northward. We're taking a look at the purple shaded area. That is wintry mix, and it can mean anything. It can mean any sort of mix of wintry precipitation, but this morning, most likely it means some light freezing rain. So we may see some glazing on the trees in our northern counties. So Roxborough, Oxford, Henderson, Roanoke Rapids, South Hill, Clarksville. It's not likely to cause a lot of problems. It won't be heavy enough to cause power outages, but there could be some slick bridges. Our temperature right now in Roxborough is sitting right at 32, so be careful out there. Taking a look at the rainfall that we've seen for the last couple of days, anywhere from around 1/4 of an inch in Fayetteville to around 3/4 of an inch in Raleigh and almost an inch in South Hill. South Hill also had almost an inch of snow yesterday as well. We're watching our flood risk. It is a low-end risk, but still there may be a lot of water on the roads this morning. In particular, that may be the biggest impact. Lots of ponding on the roads this morning. We take a look at Futurecast. The rain for today is going to be heaviest in the morning hours, so keep that in mind. It will break up a little bit this afternoon, but it doesn't end. Again, we have a low risk for flooding, so watch out for that, especially areas that tend to flood pretty easily. You may see that today. Our temperatures will be cold, 30s this morning, only around 40 this afternoon, and like I mentioned, rainfall will be heavier in the morning and a little lighter in the afternoon. Kind of watching this tree here in Roxborough to see if we see any glazing. It may be tough to tell really on the cameras, but it is definitely very wet there in Roxborough. In the Triangle, it is 36 degrees, so chilly out there for sure. In Roxborough, it's 32. There's a little bit of a wind chill. It does feel like 32 in Southern Pines and Fayetteville. Feels like 30 in the Triangle. Feels like 26 in Rocky Mountain and 29 up in Roxborough. So around town today, it'll be chilly, similar to yesterday. High temperatures will be in the low to mid 40s with rain on and off. Tomorrow's a different story. We warm up to 66. That sounds great. It does stay dry in the morning, but we'll have the potential for some afternoon thunderstorms. Right now, the driest day, at least for this week, is Friday. We're looking at some drier conditions on Monday. Fortunately for President's Day, it looks dry, but chilly at 49. Ken?
Elizabeth, just about 10 minutes before 5, here's what you need to know about your morning commute as you're getting ready to head out. We do have Raleigh police working a crash on I-540 westbound just near Globe Road, as you can see from our sensors, not causing any problems in the area, but in these wet conditions, just be careful as you're driving out. We do have the WRAL Storm Tracker out on the roadways this morning. Kelsey Coffey, photographer Mark Alexic, giving us a first-hand account of what you can see on I-40 westbound. You can see the windshield wipers going. It's going to be a real tough morning commute this morning, so just keep that in mind and give yourself some extra time as you're heading out. 101.5 HD3, that's the station to listen to us if you're getting ready to head out.
Out of this world images, new pictures of twilight clouds on Mars and why they've caught the attention of scientists.
Sealing the bond will show you the interesting encounters between a rower and these marine animals.
This year's Academy Awards ceremony is taking shape. David Daniel has that and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
I think the fantasy quality of it.
Halle Berry is returning to the Academy Awards. The Academy says the Oscar winner will be a presenter at this year's ceremony. 2 other Oscar winners, Penelope Cruz and Whoopi Goldberg, are also set to present awards, as are Elle Fanning, Scarlett Johansson, John Lithgow, Amy Poehler, and June Squibb. The 97th Academy Awards are March 2nd.
I felt kind of pulled back to my teen years and sort of this, isolation that I felt.
Amy Adams is ready to face her fear. Variety reports the 6-time Oscar nominee has joined the cast of the Apple series Cape Fear. Oscar winner Javier Bardem is already on board as the notorious killer Max Cady.
Iris, I need to talk with you. It's about the dog. I wanted to ask if you could take him.
No, I can't. No.
Here's your first look at The Friend, based on the best-selling novel by Sigrid Nunez. Naomi Watts, Bill Murray, and Bing the dog star in the tale of a writer whose life is upended when her best friend dies and she inherits his Great Dane. The Friend opens in select theaters March 28th and across the U.S. April 4th. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Bing the dog. 2 NASA astronauts who have been stuck in space for months could come home sooner than previously scheduled. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams launched on Boeing Starliner's first crewed test flight back in June. They've been at the International Space Station months longer than expected. The space agency says it's adjusted the schedule because it decided to swap the SpaceX capsule it will use for the upcoming Crew 10 mission. If all goes as planned, the astronauts should head back to Earth by mid-March.
Long time coming. Speaking of space, Renee, check this out. This is NASA's Curiosity rover recently sent back images of some pretty neat clouds from the planets. What you are looking at here are called twilight clouds because they're too faint to be seen in daylight. They only come out during the early evening here. Scientists say they're still working to understand why twilight clouds are only seen in early fall in the planet's southern hemisphere.
A rower in Washington state is finding seals are drawn to him. So twice in 4 days, a seal has jumped onto his boat while he was on the water near Tacoma. He says he's been rowing for 30 years and this has never happened to him, let alone twice.
Today's the WRAL Weather Alert Day. We are keeping an eye on road conditions for you as you take a live look on the belt line there on the right side of your screen. And right now, the WRAL Storm Tracker out there giving us an idea how that rain could affect our morning commute.
Paying higher prices. What economists think today's inflation report will reveal about how much you'll pay for items like groceries and gas this spring.
Winter Olympics countdown. A look at how athletes are preparing to compete as today marks 1 year from the games.